I was on a airplane ride where this person sat next to me and didn't know that type 2 diabetes was reversible, which was a shock to me. Physicians and healthcare providers were not having conversations about exercise and nutrition to prevent diabetes or chronic diseases. Our goal ultimately is that the doctor is not there when you're sick, but he's there as a partner and optimizing your health, so you never get sick.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, disruptors, and creators who are making things happen. My name is Michael T. Johnson, and I'm here with my co-host Tyler Kelly. Today we're at Venture Cafe Miami. Venture Cafe being the largest gathering of entrepreneurs anywhere in the world on a Thursday. So if you're near one, you're going to want to check it out. I highly recommend it. I'm very excited because we have a very special guest today, Yenvy Truong. Thank you for being here, Yenvy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So Yenvy is the CEO and co-founder of HealthSnap, where she aims to drive change in healthcare by bridging the gap between lifestyle, health, and medicine, shifting away from disease care and concentrating on data-driven, value-based, preventative healthcare. And with a strong background in biomedical engineering, diagnostics, and digital health tech, she's well-versed in diagnostic testing, disease prevention, anti-aging, and the identification of the underlying causes of chronic illnesses. So this is going to be a fascinating conversation. I'm excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first off, tell us about becoming a CEO and entrepreneur, because a lot of times when you talk about your background, that doesn't always translate to entrepreneur. So how did you get there?
Well, I think the business side has always been in me ever since I was 6. I always wanted to be a businesswoman, quote unquote, where I had my own little desk and I had playing cards as a business card. So I always saw myself as some type of an executive, a leadership role or whatnot. And I was always an entrepreneur from very early on, selling candy at stores and whatnot, selling candy in schools and buying candy at Costco and then selling it for more. And so I was always, in a sense, a hustler in a sense back then. And I just carried that as I went through college, had 3 jobs, have always been working and learned everything I could when I work. And then when I started my career, I was a chemist. Started my career as a chemist and just realized that was not for me, sitting in a lab all day, not communicating, not having conversation, and just kind of working with chemicals. That was not fun for me. Knew that I had an opportunity to provide more and make more based on my own efforts. So I went to sales. I was in medical sales on the phone, and I really fine-tuned how you present it to individuals within 3 to 5 seconds, being on the phone with somebody and get them to get their attention before they said, no, I'm not interested. So I fine-tuned that message, figured out how do I get this person's attention right away so that they listen to me. And then from there, I went to outside sales and kept growing from there, but always had an interest in various factors of a business, going into startups. This is my 4th startup, where I've either been a number 6 in the company or started a company with an investor that came to me and wanted to start a company, or had other failing companies, for example, that I started and then wasn't the right partners, for example. So the entrepreneurship in me has always been there. And it was so happened that with HealthSnap, I found a perfect match with people that are my co-founders now. And when you kind of know, it's like almost like a marriage.
Yeah.
So what about that? One thing you said, that 3 to 5 second phone sales trick, what is that?
That is, it depends. So in healthcare, you have your gatekeeper, right? And so I've always been in healthcare in that sense. Just getting on the phone with maybe a Martha or a Maria or Julia and just getting their attention by being really nice. Sometimes they just hang up on you. And I've been hung up on maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe on one hand I can count. But when they do that, I call them back. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I think we got disconnected. And then they're so embarrassed that they're like, oh, let me talk to you. So I found that trick, but that was only a few times. But just fine tuning the message where you're just really nice to them and just ask them for help. Maria, I'm not sure if you could help me, but I'm looking for somebody, maybe a decision maker or somebody, this is what we do. And she's like, okay, let me think about it. Or, yeah, you need to talk to this person. So it's always, one step to the next step.
That's awesome advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that HealthSnap is your 6th startup?
This is my 4th.
4th startup, okay. How did HealthSnap come to be?
I met my co-founder who was a professor, or who is a professor at the University of Miami, in exercise and nutrition. And at the time, he was doing research on how to prevent and reverse chronic diseases by providing very simple lifestyle modification. And he had all this knowledge in his brain. He's extremely brilliant of an individual. And he said, you know what? In healthcare, doctors aren't having conversations with their patients about lifestyle. Honestly, I was on a plane that a patient, I call everybody a patient now. I was on a airplane ride where this person sat next to me and didn't know that type 2 diabetes was reversible, which was a shock to me. But that's common in our society now, that a lot of people don't know that type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease that can be reversed and prevented. It's not a genetic disorder, for example. And so he saw that in what was happening in our society, and that physicians and healthcare providers were not having conversations about exercise and nutrition to prevent diabetes or chronic diseases. So he said, you know what it is? It's probably because they don't have the time or the knowledge to have these conversations. So let me build this tool that I can put questions in there, do a couple measurements. That takes 10 minutes, and then give this person a complete profile of what to do next. They have insight, and they're educated on the fact that they can actually reverse diabetes just by taking extra steps, drinking more water, breathing, those type of things. And I always tell this story, and if you ever saw the movie Founder with Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Where he saw the first McDonald's with the McDonald brothers, and he had this epiphany of this big vision of what it could be, and it was the name McDonald's for him. For me, it was the data. I looked at the 7 pages that he had of all this information that was hyper-personalized to the person, just on this 10-minute evaluation. I was like, oh my God, how did you come up with all this information based on 10 minutes of just asking me certain questions? And that was what was in his brain, all this research that he combined and built. And then we said, well, I need to bring this out to doctors. They need to use this, they need to have this conversation. So we had a very similar vision on bringing this out into healthcare. And we collaborated with the University of Miami. They became partners of ours, and we started HealthSnap.
Wow. So, the conspiracy theorist in me would say that doctors just want to, or that the industry pushes just medicine, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So is that another challenge that you see, or?
Yeah. I mean.
How do you address that?
Well, I actually just had a conversation with another company that asked me, how do you address the physician market? And it's very complicated, right? Because you look at how a physician operates in his office, which is he sees 40, 50 patients a day, and it's going from fee for service to value-based care, but they're getting crunched, and they're trying to figure out how to survive like anybody else right now in the healthcare market. Even the insurance payers are trying to figure this stuff out too. And so everybody's feeling this stress, but physicians are being bought out by health systems because they can't survive independently. And we've built a technology where we really spent a lot of time investigating and discovering how the technology works within their clinical and administrative workflow so that it doesn't impact their time. And that was the biggest piece. We spent a lot of time, about 2 to 3 years, 2.5 years, honestly, just asking questions and discovering and iterating until we said, now we got it. It's a no-brainer. And that's what they say to us when we show them what we have. We're not stuffing technology down their throat and saying, use this because it's going to help you and your patients and you're going to make money off of it. We figured out, well, if this happens, then you get that. And if the patients will, by default get better. And they see it and they love it and they tell us, well, yeah. So now we're creating a lot of traction now because of the time that we spent to do that research.
So how do you go through, what's the best way to go through that process? Because it seems like it's just kind of trial and error. But a lot of people are taking their solution and finding a problem for it. And you're really just like kind of working your way into making it natural.
When we first started, a lot of people came to us and said, doctors are the worst people to work with. Literally, I got that message from a lot of people in business, but I've worked with physicians for 15 years, so I'm selling to physicians, for example. So I knew that if you knew how they work and how they think, you can position it right and have that conversation. And so I had a lot of conviction in the fact that I had that knowledge. And they are difficult because they rely a lot on insurance reimbursements and Medicare, and their patients aren't always compliant. So there's always those dynamics that doesn't play well for them as well. But spending a lot of time with a very preliminary product, we spent $3,000 on a prototype, made it HIPAA compliant, and sold it to doctors. We said, unlimited, pay us $300 a month and just use it, because what we did was we asked them to pay for it so that we knew that they valued it. And if they valued it, they would use it. And so we didn't give anything for free. I never give it away because I want to see what their honest feedback would be if we wanted to charge for it at one point. And at scale, I mean. And so we delivered the prototype. We got a couple of doctors, and then it became 30 doctors that paid for it. And gave us the feedback, no, I don't have the time for this. My staff doesn't know what to do with it. The patients love the information, but they're not doing it. So we got those type of feedback on both the patient's feedback and the physician's feedback on how they interact with the patients too. And just spent time and iterated over and over from the feedback. And then you have to know how to decipher, is it a one-off feedback or is it a common feedback? And so I would say that was the hardest part, is when you're not doing it at a mass level and just trying to understand how to build your product correctly. Is this a one-off or is this an average? And that's the hardest part, I would say, as a startup, to figure out how to build your technology. And
so with that data, are you now fully into the market? Are you getting, okay, so talk to me about that.
Yeah. So we drive on data. We look at ourselves as a lifestyle data analytics company, not so much as a lot of remote monitoring companies or health tech or digital health, lifestyle data analytics. And the reason for that is we take all your wearable sensors application. It could be your MyFitnessPal. It doesn't matter where that data is coming from. It comes to us, and then we normalize it, and then we build a personalized lifestyle profile for the individual. And the individual could be an end user consumer or a patient of a health system or a doctor. And that profile is understood by the physician. It could be your wellness company, it could be your life coach, your health coach. Everybody has access to that if you choose as a patient to share to those individuals. And that profile represents your cardiovascular health, metabolic, your sleep, stress, behavior. We're looking at your entire how you live and how it relates to your health. What we like to say is it tells a story of how you live. And when you go to your doctor and he sits down and he has all this information in his electronic medical record and his little computer, right? He may say, well, you have diabetes. Okay, great. That's why I feel horrible. But then he does all this blood work, and then the blood work comes out, yep, that verifies the fact you have diabetes, right? But it doesn't tell him how you got there. Is it because I'm stressed and I'm sedentary, but I eat a salad every day, right? So it could be a combination of factors, and what we do is we pinpoint exactly where the focus should be based on your lifestyle, and say, let's start on your nutrition before we push you into the gym, and let's find the fastest impact that you'll get from just these minute changes in your health, in your lifestyle.
So for you, like, are you with this product? Are you local for now, or just within certain health networks, or kind of how is it spread so far?
In the U.S., right now we have about 5 health systems in our entire pipeline, and that's within the last 120 days. That's how fast we're moving. As soon as we realized what we had and where we sat and what the message is, as we went out and we started delivering that message, and it just resonates with everybody that we've been speaking to. And right now, we're in 4 contracts within the past 30 days, and then 21 other ones that's just kind of just dripping down the funnel now.
So talk to me about. So I'm gonna go see my doctor.
Right.
And I'm probably like your typical middle-aged male that, like, if my wife doesn't remind me, or if I don't get the notice, probably won't go as often as I should, right? So, but let's say I'm there, and then what's my experience? How am I introduced to HealthSnap?
Right.
What should I expect?
Starting in December as a open, we say, and consumer, for example, you can download our app as anybody, as not just a patient of a physician, and you can share that data with your physician. But let's say the physician, you go to UHealth or Baptist, for example, you walk in, you'll see banners, you'll see advertisement that the doctor now offers HealthSnap to have insight into your lifestyle health. Our goal ultimately is that the doctor is not there when you're sick, but he's there as a partner and optimizing your health. So you never get sick, right? And that's the big goal for a physician, is to be alongside you, and that at the time that you start getting sick, he's alerted. So imagine if you have diabetes today, but he would have known 6 months ago, and he got an alert that you're doing these activities that's giving you a direction of diabetes, for example. He would have been alerted. Maybe a dietitian on his team would have been alerted, and he calls you and say, hey, why don't you come in, let's have a conversation, because it's not going in the right direction. And so preventing that becomes a cost reduction to the healthcare system significantly, because that's the biggest cost right now to the U.S. health system.
Seems to me too that opening that up to just a regular user,
yes,
kind of helps your sales case as well, wherever you're at.
Yeah, for us, it's getting that information out. I don't think it should be restricted to only the fact that your physician happens to want to give you lifestyle information, right? And so we want to open this data and this ability to have insight into your lifestyle health to everybody, so that you can make the modification and start sharing it to your doctors, because you want to know when you're going in the wrong direction, and he's alerted. And so the doctor knows when to set those alerts and what to look for. And so he'll set the alerts for those patients, and if that patient, let's say their weight fluctuates by 5 pounds, he's alerted and it's like, okay, that looks abnormal, let's bring this individual in, and so we can have a lifestyle conversation before it becomes even more habitual, for example.
And so I think a lot of technology that's in a doctor's office now is, it's all AI computer answers, right?
Yeah.
To problems that doctors might not see every day. Is that like kind of on the master plan, is just to provide access to health information and ways to have a more healthy life just to the end consumer? Or like, how do you see just the whole profession like going?
Yeah, a lot of the information and insight into how to be healthier is available, right? It's just how do we deliver it so it resonates with you as a person and you as a person, because the same message doesn't resonate with everybody. And that's where AI machine learning comes in, is that, okay, this person likes to click on this button about CrossFit, and that person actually likes yoga. So how do we message lifestyle health around yoga, and something that's going to resonate that message with them? And so that's where we layer on AI machine learning, as opposed to just throwing around the word AI and machine learning early on, knowing when to put it so it elevates the technology and actually adds a lot of value to our users.
That's cool. Do you see a future where, like, my experience with doctors is just all AI?
Yes. Well, our goal is not to remove the physician or the human aspect to it. I think that's extremely important, and I think that adds to the value of health as well, is that the human interaction adds a lot of social health aspects, right? The AI, I think, will only elevate the doctor and take the redundancy out of the process, and actually allow him to be a physician to really think subjectively and abstract in a way, to come up with other ways to help the individual, as opposed to just following steps and agendas and routines.
So from a business standpoint, what's next for you, or what's the next hurdle?
With HealthSnap?
Yeah.
We're going into some deep analytics stuff that I'm very excited about. I've been waiting for 4 years since the beginning, knowing that the interjection of lifestyle and actual clinical data will bring a lot of value on predicting health, on when a person, let's say, has diabetes, actually go into a cancerous state, if there's correlation in that aspect, and then what aspects of, let's say, if this person smokes, or if this person eats these type of green leafy vegetables, if there's correlations in those aspects. So these are all like the fun things that I've I've been waiting for. I knew that we had everything we did before was a ends to a means to an enemy, and now we're at that point where we're able to do those fun correlations and studies.
Wow. That's cool. And you mentioned just a few moments ago about if my interest is in yoga and meditation, then maybe you're going to provide some tips in that space.
Right.
But if my interest is in football, then maybe you'll tell me to go outside and play football more often.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit more color around that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but it'll be fine tuned to what you want to see and what you want to hear. That's going to give you the lifestyle changes that you're looking for, or the healthy changes that you're looking for within the lifestyle likings.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting point that you make, because I'm not super familiar with that industry or the studies or the data, but everything that I understand about medical studies and the stats that we hear as consumers seem very anecdotal may not be the right term, but it seems like we've never had large access to data about people's behaviors and how it correlates. So that's kind of what you're saying, is that you're going to be able to provide that in a way that's not just trying to find us one specific answer.
Right. And the great thing is that we have so much data. The bad thing is that we have so much data. And so a lot of, right now, there's this market of individuals that are the millennials, right? That's profiled as the worry well, because there's so much information on being healthy as well that they don't know what to trust and who to trust now. And that's an actual problem, where that keeps them up at night, saying that they think they're doing the right things, but then there's another product that says that they should be doing this, and so they don't know what to trust. And so, as I mentioned, the great thing about data, but there's bad parts to it, is too much data as well, and not knowing what to use, which data to use.
So you said it's going to be launching to all of the public at some point in the future.
December 13th.
Okay.
Download HealthSnap.
Okay. Where can you go? Like, where can they find HealthSnap?
Apple,
all
your
of that good
iOS,
stuff.
and your Android phones.
And just search for HealthSnap. Are you on the web?
Yes, healthsnap.io.
Social media?
My HealthSnap on Twitter, and HealthSnap on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
I'm excited to try the app out when it comes out.
Definitely.
Yenvy, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
This has been a fun talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
For more episodes, visit innovationcity.co and be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. If you're in Miami, visit us at Venture Cafe on Thursday nights. You can find details at venturecafemiami.org and connect with us on social at We Are Slam and Venture Cafe MIA.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where